You'll get one of each, Megan, okay? This is a document you can take with you, but we're going to talk about it today. It helps. The touchscreen has gotten so old that you have to just, hold your mouse and hit it in the exact right spot to get things to work. No, at 8 o'clock this morning, I was still trying to get the kitten settled down so I could get ready. Oh, this is why grandparents should not raise grandchildren. I'm just telling you. Because all I've got is cats, so. Okay. All right. We're recording already. Jesse, if you'll grab one each. That's the deep personal revision. They're actually from left to right. They're in order. Okay. Are you left-handed?
No, I'm right-handed. I put my phone where.
Oh, well, and heaven forbid that we put down the most valuable thing in our life, right? Okay. Claire, grab one each of those. It's 3 pages of a single document. Oh, she looked down and saw, okay. There's a statement up there. Let's see. What did I call you J.C. or did I call you something?
I think you called me Jessie, but.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I got the J out. That was good. So, yeah, because it just hit me. Wait, you're not Jessie. And I'm like, oh, well. Sorry, just say correct me. It's, I'm sitting here trying not to use my cheat sheet. So. Oh, my God, everybody's already here. Sheesh. I haven't even opened up the document. Okay. Toss it in. I still don't have the school set down. I want to go back to what it's been in the past. So, I used to have 5 schools on Monday at 8 a.m., but we switched to Tuesdays 8 a.m., which is so much better for me not to have to start at 8 a.m. on a Monday. How about y'all? Just easier? Yeah. Okay. Let's do it this way. Okay. We're going to work on, hopefully you have a revised version of your essay with you so that you can do that. If you don't, you can follow along. I'm just going to talk my way through this sheet. This is all I'm doing today, is talking about deep personal revision, so that before you turn it in on Friday, you have checked particularly for formatting. There is nothing worse than me having to take off points because you can't manage to format a document correctly. Because I am still seeing it. I haven't finished my Tuesday, Thursday classes yet. At least I looked at all of y'all and made comments. But that's like, so I'll give you just a second. Everybody's got a copy of the Deep Personal Revision. I'm thinking about offering this as extra credit for you. If you do it, if you would bring it to me on Monday showing me that you've marked up a copy of your essay with using this document, then I will give you 10 extra credit points. but I have to have it from you guys on Monday. You guys need to turn it in to your facilitators on, Friday, because that's when the essays due. So it's no point in having you do it today, you know. So if you'll do that, 10 extra credit points, okay? So you're not gonna see any place to turn it in, you have to hand it to me, and then I'll go in and add it into the grade book. But I figure 10's enough, because that's a letter grade on an essay right there, okay? So, let's talk about, it says personal peer revision. It's not peer, you're a peer, you're your own peer, right? Okay. So, check the format. That's the very first thing. You need to have the MLA heading. It's not a header. I keep seeing headers. If it runs from one page, if it's always on the top of your page, it's a header. This is a heading. That's why when I gave you that formatting document, all you had to do was go in, you know, the formatting documents for this class in week 1, all you had to do was replace your name, put your name where that was, and it started you off. That wasn't a header, that was a heading, okay? It helps if you spell my name correctly and not omit it. I get a little cranky if you misspell my name. Somebody did on the paragraph. And then you have to have the correct name, course, and section. And now remember, it's got to be ENGL 1301, and then whatever your section is. So for the SBC students, it's 200. For the all the dual credit high schools, it's 441. The date should be day, month, and year. It can't be slashes. It should look, how about I come over here in time? It should be, let's see, Friday is, what's today? 22nd, so it should be 24 September 2021. Notice that there's the only mark of punctuation is the period that abbreviates September. There's no comma. They're not all run together. Some of you guys, do they not teach keyboarding in school anymore? They don't. But besides the fact that kids don't have no clue. You know, when you have a period, you're supposed to put a space, at least one space after it, and within stuff. A sentence is supposed to have 2 spaces after it. So I am so old, I learned to type on a manual typewriter, you know, where you had to push the keys down and then they had all these letters that came fluffing up, if you've ever seen an old one. And if you type too fast, they would get tangled. So word processing's a lot easier, but make sure that your date looks like that and that everything is flush left, okay? The title should be the same size as the rest of your font, of your essay. They should be the same size and the same font. I got a draft that had one font in the heading and the title, and the essay was Times New Roman, and the font was like Calibri. Make sure everything matches. It's just how your document looks. You want it to look good, right? It should not be caps or it should not be bold. And the font, why is that way up? It should be there. The font is you can use 14-point Times New Roman. I like that because it's a big font. If you use 12-point Times New Roman, it's condensed. It actually pushes together. The letters are very close. That's why I like 14-point. But everything else must be 12-point. And please, whatever you do, don't pick a font that looks like handwriting. That's hard to read. It really is. You know, because they've got all those cute ones. What is it? You know, Jokerman. You know, all the ones that look really cute. And you're like, oh, I want to do that. Well, we're not doing a scrapbook. We're writing an essay for a class. And she has to grade 89 essays. 86 essays? I don't know. However many y'all are. Okay, so help me out with that. And then the margins are 1 inch. What this means is that don't mess with the margins. It might be 1.15 like it is for spacing. Just make sure spacing is double space, okay? And that's what it tells you, double space. And so before you ever start typing, a lot of people think, the heck with it, I'll just double space it after I write the document. The problem with that is that the default spacing in Word is 1.15, so when you double space 1.15, it goes to 2.3. And things look a little funky when you do that. And then you must indent the first line of every paragraph. If you are having issues getting things to indent, if you're doing an online version of Word, saving it as a PDF sometimes kicks out the indents on paragraphs. So you can save the online version of Word, like the second or third option is save this document or download a document, and that, if it just says download a document and you've been writing in Word, it downloads a Word document, okay? Discovered this with somebody the other day. But the first line of every paragraph has to be indented, and you don't get the double space between paragraphs. That's a no-no. I'm giving you what it's supposed to look like. So your introduction, does it begin with an overly broad or generalized statement, an epic opening? I'm not as bad about that, so if you can get me going into the topic with something like that, it's okay. You have a hook. Some people have tried to be very mysterious. Be careful. On a draft, people will go, oh, this was a horrible event that changed my life forever, and I don't know what it is after the introduction. This is not supposed to be a mystery. You know, don't wait, you know, and then they'll go, the tornado hit my house, you know, and the next line, you're like, well, why can't you just say, you know, you're not really writing the mystery, so be careful. Do you lead your reader to the thesis statement? There's no big jumps in logic in between sentences. So think about, there's a relationship. Remember when we did the paragraph? There's a relationship between every sentence in a paragraph, even in the introduction. There has to be words, and this sentence has words that relate to it, and it goes down. Or it can go back up, you know, it depends on what you're doing. But there has to be a relationship. You can't go, people think superheroes wear capes and masks and have powers. My dad is a great guy. See, there's a jump there. You can't have that jump. You have to get down to, you have to say something along the lines that, well, not every hero has superpowers. Sometimes they just have the ability to do a good job. My dad is such a guy. You see how you work your way down to that? You can't jump from superhero to your dad. There has to be a progression of ideas. And is the thesis the last sentence of intro? That's the best place to put it when you're writing for English. If you hide it, I've got a lot of people who will say, they'll give me a thesis and say, I'm going to talk about these 2 or 3 or one thing, whatever it is. And then they'll say, I learned so many lessons from my dad, will be the last sentence of the introduction. But you've actually given me a thesis, the sentence before it. So save those big, I learned this statements for your conclusion. Okay? And I'm not picking on your topic. It just, somebody did that. All right, so what I want you to do when you're going through your essay is identify your thesis statement. It should be basically a one-sentence summary. It clearly and succinctly tells the reader what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. With a narrative, it's a little bit harder to get that across. You might just say, I learned an important lesson from my dad. That can work as a thesis statement if you're writing about your dad. So what you need to do is underline the thesis statement. So I'm going to look for these things when you turn this in for extra credit. You don't have to do it. If you don't want to do it and you don't get it to your facilitator on Friday or to me on Monday, it's okay. You don't get the point, but you don't lose points. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you have a main idea? What's your main idea? The tornado hit my house and we survived. That's your main idea, right? Okay. I'm trying not to use Zach's topic all the time. Do you have key points? In other words, if you said, I learned to persevere through tough times, I learned to, you know, the lessons you learned about whatever I learned to persevere, I learned to be nice to other people, and then I learned to stay tight with my family. That would be your main points that you were going to do under it, if that's what you got out of whatever your story is. And once again, it says, label those if you have those 3 points so that we know they're in there, so that you get them in the order, okay? All of this is on those pages, so you did get those, right? Okay. Is the thesis the last sentence of your introduction? I'm trying to tell you that's where I want to see it. If I say it a couple of times, maybe it will, you'll hang on to that. So then I jump to the conclusion. Does it begin with in summation or in conclusion or something close to that? And look what it says. Remove those phrases. The last sentence of the last paragraph of an essay should always be the conclusion. And please, I don't know if I've got it. If you have the words, with that being said, cross them out of your writing. I've seen that on a lot of drafts. With that being said, guess what? You haven't said a thing. You wrote something, okay? And if you wrote it, I remember it, so you don't have to tell me with that being said. Now, if you're doing informative or persuasive, go for it. If you're doing debate, go for it. But when you're writing, you know, avoid, that just, with that being said, those words don't do any good. They just say, go back to what's previously been read. I've read it. I know it. Okay, do you include a restatement of the thesis? That's okay. If you do, be careful about switching the order up, because I'll notice that if you switch the order. Because then I'll think, oh, the organization's wrong, so I have to go back and reread it. You know, read for that. It should not be the exact same words, but underline it if you restate your thesis or the main point. I learned a lot of lessons from my dad. My dad taught me some valuable tools to get through life. That's the same thing as saying I learned lessons from my dad, isn't it? See how you can do it. Okay, have you summarized the essay in the conclusion? Make sure, if you have not, make sure that should not be it. Sorry about that. You have not repeated exact phrases. Okay. Do you include a so what? Why is it important for the reader to consider what you have written? What, if you've given the lesson about life, I learned that my parents were right when they told me not to do something. That's the so what. That bad things can happen when you don't follow the rules or whatever your lesson is, okay? It doesn't mean you have to have all of those, it just means some of that needs to be in there. So topic sentences, TOPS. When I grade your paper, I may get down to just writing TSs, so that I don't have to write out topic sentence. This should be the first sentence of each body paragraph and should act like a summary in a way of a paragraph. The topic sentence should not contain any quotations. Body paragraphs should not begin with quotes. Quotes are evidence. They are very specific. You have to have a general topic sentence. When you're telling a narrative, it's a bit different. Are you with me? If you only have one body paragraph and you're doing the story, you may say, the day that changed my life forever was whatever. And then you can talk about the day. That's a great topic sentence, you know. That'll work if you've only got the 3 paragraphs. Is that how many you're gonna have, Megan? Just the one body paragraph with the story? And that's okay. If you don't have 3 points, then you're not going to have topic sentences that relate those. If you're telling a story and you have to have a couple of paragraphs because you're following the order of the events, it's different. Narratives are a little bit different. So, but don't use quotations, don't set up a summary, or define a word, please. The word hero means blah, 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 blah. I've read that a lot in essays. Don't tell me what the definition of a hero is. And certainly don't quote the dictionary. That was great in high school. We don't do that in college. Don't quote the dictionary, okay? And it should not be a transition sentence, the topic sentence, unless you're saying, unlike how I would spend part of my $1 million on investments, the last portion of my thing, you could do that, but be careful. You don't want to make that topic sentence have too much going on in it. But it should provide a clear focus for your paragraph. So aren't you spending money? Isn't that what you're doing? Okay. So you should say, a portion of what I would spend out of my $1 million would be on this. The next part I might spend it on would be this, that kind of thing. So there's a little transition, but it just clearly says this is all I'm going to talk about. Let's see, the topic sentences should be in the exact same order as listed in the thesis. If you've got 3 parts to your thesis, if you're just talking about the lessons you learned from your dad, they have to occur in the same order, okay? But if you're just telling the story of wrecking your car, it's a little bit different. The topic sentences, the key points in the thesis should all have their own paragraph. Do you see how this peer revision, your personal peer revision, would work for any kind of essay? You just have to adapt it a little for a narrative. Are there any not listed in the thesis? Do you have an extra paragraph? And so, I know, is it Stephen who's doing COVID? Right? Make sure that your introduction has those reasons that COVID, everybody should get vaccinated, and then make sure that that's all you cover in those body paragraphs, okay? But so you can't have a paragraph that's not covered in your thesis statement if you're going to deal with points. If you introduce a new point, that's a problem. The narrative is telling a story. Somebody's doing a different kind of narrative when they're doing like the one about COVID. Supporting sentences. Does each sentence in a paragraph relate to the topic sentence, or do some of them belong in another paragraph? So I've been reading essays for 30 some odd years now. I don't have to stop and think. I can tell when a sentence is off topic. Though sometimes I get caught in the flow of the story and I'm like, wait a second, something will hit me later on. I was like, that's not in order. I have to go back and think. So if somebody writes well, sometimes they can get it past me. So you need to be careful as the writer when you're looking at your own writing of, does everything belong in here or have I gone off topic? And then put your finger, pen, or pencil on your topic sentence, then read it, then read sentences. And if you see SENT, most of the time it's not the word sent, it's me abbreviating sentence so that I don't have to write ENCE. And you know how many times I have to go back and correct it because I go NECE? Because I type too fast, okay? So read all the sentences in the rest of the paragraph and make sure, if you cannot read, notice it says, not infer, because we are great at inferencing, because that's what the dadgum state of Texas wants you to learn how to do, is inference. But we don't, in your writing, you don't want to make the reader have to inference about your story, okay? So there must be a direct connection between the topic sentence and the sentence that you're reading. And if you don't have it, you're missing something. Either revise, move, or remove. Does each sentence transition smoothly into the next? Do they flow? There's not any jumps. And make sure you're not being redundant or circular, saying the same thing just in 2 or 3 different ways. It's like saying, my mom's always there for me. She does things for me. She always supports me. That's a circular argument. My mom's always there for me. You've got to give the story, all right? Here's the tricky one, sentence structure and length. And by the way, what you're seeing is the split, because I blew up the font so you could read it more easily. Do you vary your sentence length? I have seen several students, I can't remember, because I've looked at 3 sections out of 4 right now, and I have a lot of people who like to write short, choppy sentences. Sometimes you need to combine, because remember that if all your sentences are within the same 6 to 8 words, 11 to 12, 13, 14 words, if they're all 20 to 30 words, you see how no variety makes it boring. So watch that. So see how many long sentences you have. 23 plus words. If you have any extra long sentences, be sure they don't have errors in them with commas, okay? Structure errors. And then how many medium sentences, 11 to 22, and how many short sentences. Why is it important to vary your length? So you don't bore the reader, okay? That's why it's important. Do you need to revise to have more long, medium, or short sentences in the essay? So there are times when short, choppy sentences can work. If you're trying to give me action and it happens very quickly, like if you're trying to describe a football game, you don't want a sentence that begins, I did this, and then I did this, and then I moved, I jumped, and I turned, and that's not how it really looks sometimes with football. Football, short, choppy things happening, right? Though occasionally you might have a longer play. And so your sentences can reflect the length of what you're describing, in a sense. So when you're writing about what you're going to do with money, probably you're just going to have to push that variety in there so that it's not all, I'm going to buy this, and then I'm going to buy that, and then I'm going to buy, so it's not like that. Let's see. How do you begin each sentence? If every sentence begins with it is, it was, there are, there is, there were, watch that, okay? And do you vary the sentence, or do they all begin the same way with the subject verb setup? I am, he is, she is, she did, see, it is right there. There is. Okay, any sentences that are back to back like this, if you have several sentences that begin with the same phrases, I understand repetition can be effective. I get that. I had somebody who was writing about a relationship that went bad. And it was cruel to do this, it was cruel to do that, there were several sentences, and they were building to an effect about how really cruel that particular relationship was. And I get that, but you don't, be careful. All right, and remember, if you want to use fragments, you have to put fragment in parentheses after the sentence that's a fragment. Okay? And this is basically just says, you can also, any sentences that are back to back, underline and note to revise. You can always begin a sentence with the prepositional phrase, a dependent clause. Remember the awuba stuff, so that you keep your reader interested in your writing. You can also add signal or transition words to guide your reader through the writing. Circle these words, this, that, these, those, there, it plus verb. Those words set up vague constructions or passive phrasing. That's not interesting. There were many wonderful things to see in the Bahamas. The Bahamas are full of beautiful sights. See how much more interesting that is? Then there are many beautiful things, okay? Pronoun usage. Remove you, your, yours, your. All right, so I'm going to show you very quickly how to use find. You should be able to do it, but we're going to do it anyway. Right over here, when you're in Word, I don't know what it looks like on a Mac, sorry, but they should have it in there. Right here, after you have all those headings, the styles, there's a little box, and the very first thing says Find. So you click on Find, and you come over, it gives you navigation, and you can type in YOU. And see what it did over here it highlighted all of the U's in this document. And it tells you that there are 52 U's used in my document because I'm addressing students. This is instructions. It's perfectly acceptable. But what it does over here is it gives you, is the thesis, the last sentence of your introduction. All it picks up are YOU. I don't have to type in YOUR because YOU's in YOUR, okay? So it'll show all of those. So you can go through and see, and so if you can see that you have 15 U in your essay from doing this, then you can actually just click, and it'll take you to the sentence where it is, over here on the side. That's kind of handy, isn't it? The other cool thing you can do, if you like the word, and some of you do, you like the word just. Oh, look, there's only 2 just in my whole essay. That's pretty good. Saying the same thing just in 2 or 3 different ways, okay. I'm not crazy about the word just because we like to use it as an adverb for everything. So you can watch out for words like that. But the other thing you can do is you don't have to just put words in. I'm going to put a comma in. And it says there are 70 commas in this. So if you're not someone who wants to read all the way through, you can just go back and see, okay, we have a list, correct name, course, section, in the heading. So it highlights all the commas. So that might be a quick way for you to check and see if you've got a comma splice, okay? So find is pretty handy. Okay, so that's a quick thing on that. So exit out. Oh yeah, let me get out. That's navigation, and again, it's right after styles. It's find. And look, it even actually says the word replace. Isn't that cool? You can do a lot of things. Okay, let's see. As I scroll down and get back to where we were. Okay. All right, remove you, your, yours, and your. Be careful about we, us, our, and more. Because we had a great time on our vacation. If that's your first sentence in your body paragraph, who's we? Pronouns have to have nouns that they rename. So you've got, that's being specific is what we're talking about. I feel, I think, I believe, I, and so on. I read an essay yesterday that was about somebody's mother. And you know how many sentences began with I? And I told that student, this is not about your mother, this is about you. If you're going to write about your mother, the focus needs to be on her, not all the stuff you've gotten out of her. You see what I'm talking about there? So watch out for that. And replace with one, instead of going, you can always use you, one, the reader, a person, people. There are lots of different things to do, okay? But you need to be careful if you use we or us, those are plural, our, all plural. Be careful that the pronoun matches the antecedent. And it could be a pronoun matching a previous pronoun. Because I'm saying everyone thinks that they are special. Everyone is singular because of the word one, okay? Even though every begins it, everyone is always singular. There is plural. I don't care what you see, and I see it a lot of time on Facebook. They'll be describing somebody and they'll use there. I play Hogwarts Mystery. For some reason I play that game. I don't know why, but I do. I'm in my 7th year. I'm about to finish, okay? But when they're talking about my character, it'll say my name, and they'll say, and they need to do this, and you're like, but I'm not a they, I'm a her, you know. So be careful about there as being plural, not singular. And slang and informal words, be careful about this. Absolutely, awesome, awfully. A lot of, guess what? A lot is 2 words. I have a lot of friends. A space L-O-T. A-L-L-O-T is the word that means to portion out, allotment. Your allotment for today is this. To be able to, central, definitely, fine, got, great, literally. And here's where's there's really. We are really. Did I not put just in there? Probably because I talk about it. Oh, fixin' to, crazy, terrible, and excellent. I've seen contractions not spelled out correctly. ITS, a lot of times when you're saying it is not being done correctly. Proofreading. Okay, this is a good tip, and I'll probably offer this as extra credit as a personal review the next time on the compare and contrast. Read your paper beginning with the last sentence and work your way back sentence by sentence. Once you take it out of order of what you've written, and you look at it by itself, when you read the last sentence, all you're reading for is meaning. What is it in there? Is it grammatically? That's all you see. You don't get the flow of the essay or the narrative. Make sense? And so what I'll probably have you do the next time for extra credit is after every single sentence period in your essay, I'll have you hit a return for extra credit. And then you'll have all these single sentences. And then you can really see how long your sentences are, how repetitive they are, how they all seem to look alike. Okay, but on your own, read it from the last sentence to the first sentence. Do you have any fragments or fused sentences? Watch out for that, major errors. Are all apostrophes used correctly? And are there typographical errors? Because please remember that the word, hold on, impotent and important are words that can accidentally be substituted for each other if you misspell it. And impotent is a word, and important is a word. And in fact, okay, let me show you another one real quick. I took all that blank paper I had sitting around and I stuck it here. I had a student in years past who was a merit scholarship semifinalist. Must have been a pretty tough year that year because this was a very, very smart individual. And they were writing the paper, and they were going to write about Reese Witherspoon and how she wanted to save the dolphins. Dolphins, right? But she didn't know how to spell it. So when she spelled it, she used an A, and it auto-corrected to this word. This word is the name for the heir to the throne of France. It's not a fish. So wrote a really good paper, except one of her major points had the wrong word in it. So be careful about thinking you're using the right word, you know. Look up the meanings. If it substitutes something, make sure you know the difference. And we're talking a very smart person got this wrong, okay? So that's why spelling can be a really naughty little issue. All right, we're looking at commas. Check all the commas in the essay. Use find to do it. Check to see if it is a list. Make sure the final comma occurs before the conjunction. Most lists have and as the next to last item. So when you're talking about bacon, eggs, and toast, bacon, comma, eggs, comma, and toast. Give it to me before and, even though you don't see it in 90% of the things you read. Remember, we're in English land now, so you have to follow my rules. Not just my rules, the rules of England. English land, okay? Do you have a fan voice conjunction in there? Is this two complete sentences joined by a comma and a conjunction? Because is not a coordinating conjunction and never gets a comma in front of it. This is a WUBIS, remember? You got that page that said a WUBIS. I hope you guys used it on the quiz. That's what that is. Usage, using the correct word. Make sure you use the following words correctly in your sentences. That and which, since and because, it's, no contractions, it's. If you don't use contractions, then you won't make the mistake. Think about it. If you write out it is, you now have added two words versus one word, it's. Okay? So don't use contractions and you add words to your word count. Make sense? Okay. And I have another word I'm going to get you on in a minute. Two, and two. I'm going to town. I have 2 dogs, and that was too difficult for me to do. Can you hear the difference? Okay. Who and whom? I'm going to tell you right now, just use who. Nobody gets whom right anymore, so it's become archaic. It's leaving the English language, whom is, okay? Precede and proceed, fewer and less, affect and effect. If it's a verb, about 90% of the time it'll be affect. If it's a noun, it'll be effect. There, and there. T-H-E-I-R is possessive. It was their job to do this. See how the job belongs to whoever there is? There, oh, I need to go over there. See, there's a location in it, and it has the word here in it. There and here. Or, there are too many things for me to do. That's just, you know, ugh. And then they are. So if you write out they are instead of doing the correction. And then, those are tough ones. The only other thing I want to throw in there is please do not use this as a verb on its own. Being that I was late to school, being is not used that way. Being is a helping be verb. You've got to, you've got to use another verb with it. I am being silly today. See how you have to do that? So don't ever use being on its own, unless you're talking about a human being. Okay? So that's a big... Well, where did that come from? Yours? Oh, okay. I was like, I heard it too well, so it couldn't be coming from the schools, right? Okay. Are you too conversational? This is not a conversation. Does it sound like you're talking, or do you use words that refer to speech like say, tell, with that being said? See how that's conversational? Because it's not, and do not use questions. I do not like questions in your writing, okay? What if you don't answer the question? You see, the problem is if you ask a question and don't answer it. And don't ever begin a paragraph with a question. That would be like doing a worksheet for a class. Come on, we know what coaches do. They give you the worksheets, answer the questions at the end of the chapter, right? So, don't use questions. And particularly, don't use a question as your thesis. They should never be used, oh, look what it says. They should never be used as a topic, sentence, or thesis. That is the lazy person's way to organize an essay. Your essays are not a series of questions that should be answered. And that's it. So, that's what you're working on today. Tomorrow, you have the quizzes over chapter 6 and 7. We're going to have to go back and pick up chapter 5. For some reason, I didn't plug it in there, so we're going to have to add that back in, which is kind of crazy. I guess I wanted to get you to revising and editing before we turn this essay in, okay? And then the draft, and if you're doing, at the schools, if you're going to turn this in for extra credit, that's why you have to have a printed out version of your essay with the corrections done on it, okay? You guys will just bring it to me on Monday, and you'll get the extra credit that way. And it's because I was thinking about kicking back. Is there a lot going on in schools? Would it help you guys if I pushed it back to Sunday, the due date? Would you be heartbroken? For the final, yeah. Would that?
It was on Sunday?
Huh?
I thought it was on Sunday.
No, it's Friday. It's Friday. Yeah, 9/24 is final of narrative. Would that work better for you guys at the schools, or are some of you gonna go ahead and finish it? Sunday's fine, okay, but let me go in then, because you're gonna have to turn it in through turn it in.
And then our chapter quizzes are tomorrow.
The chapter quizzes are tomorrow, yes. I'm not gonna go back and change all those dates. I went in and saw that both of them were valued at 100 points, so I got that corrected the other day. Crazy me. So I had to get it down to 15 points. Okay, so when you go in, and I'll change the date while we're even talking about it, okay? So we'll go into, that was done, go into course content, week 4, and as you go down, there's the peer revision, there's your quizzes. They're not going to show up for you guys until, but now when you see narrative final, see how it's got that little red, the paper with the red thing, that means it's going through turn it in, and there are the compare and contrast handouts. We're going to start compare and contrast on Monday, so. All right, so when you click on view complete, it takes it just a second to load in. This is turn it in. It says single file upload. I'm a non-enrolled student, so you may not have to put your names in. Well, golly gee, that was interesting. Okay, we'll just call me Addie. Okay, and then you'll go submission title, narrative final, choose from this computer. I'm just going to go to, I'll just put in the deep personal revision document, okay? This file is in use. Idiot. Okay, 5 tips for writing a good narrative essay. Okay, so it's in there. All right, and this is what you see, and you click upload. Notice that's not the word submit, it's the word upload, okay? So you upload, and what you'll get is here is a copy of the document. Can you see it up there? I can see exactly what I've written. I can see if I've got the right document in there. You can go through the pages and look at all of them. So it takes a little bit. There's only 2 pages, okay? And then I would click, we share your privacy. So you click confirm, and it says, as you go in here, look what it says. Congratulations, your submission is complete. You have to get this little digital receipt to know that it's in. So you can't just upload, you also have to confirm and send it so that you've got the right document in, okay? So that's turn it in. I will change the date right now to Sunday. So maybe that'll help some people. I thought I'm not going to be able to print them on Friday anyway to start grading because I'm traveling to Health Center, and then I've got to go out to a meeting out in Levelland, so I won't even ever be in my office on Friday. And then Lorenzo's new. Lorenzo, you're the first, is that right? I'm going to you guys on the first, Lorenzo? Maybe? I don't remember. Okay, work on this, all right, guys? And I'm gonna get that date changed to Sunday. Yeah, I have to go through edit. Actually, so y'all can see what I'm doing. So this is me. Okay, from August the 28th. That's actually on August the 28th? No. Let's go to September 26th. There we go. No, start date. Okay. Now I'm at the right one. 26th. And we can leave it at the 27th. Narrative value is 100. That would be good if that was in there. And notice that it says, only allow file types that turn it in can check for similarity. That is Word, PDF, or RTF. It's the same for that, okay? So that's now corrected and ready to go, okay? So when you go into course resources, syllabus and schedule, if I click on course calendar, it's going to show that that is no longer on the 17th. It's, the 24th, it's now going to show up on the 26th, okay? For you guys. Remember, this is all of my classes. All right, so work on that, or you can live. Where are we at? We're at 40? We're at 36. Okay. My monster class just emailed me. Okay. Abernathy, did you guys go in and do your peer revision comments in in Blackboard? I know I got all these documents from Ms. Macias, but did you guys do it in Blackboard, or it said to do it in the comment section? Yes or no? Wave your hands if you did turn it into Blackboard.
Yes.
Okay.
We
All
all
right.
did.
If you didn't, please go ahead and do it. I've got her confirmation of it, okay? That was not something you had to do, so I'm sorry that Ms. Macias did that extra work. She'll have to do this with the deep peer revision, so go ahead, work. Or if you want to head out, you can head out, your choice, okay? Pretty good deal, right? What do you think? These college kids are heading out. I can't understand why. Yes, I can. I would have left early too. So, where's that at? No, it's fine. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend. Let me go to announcements. Hmm.
Your conference is scheduled to end in 2 minutes.